And welcome in, Brew Crew, to another episode of the Dynasty Brews podcast. We are streaming right now on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, of course. And Justin, cheers. We haven't done this in a while, man. If
I
you
I
got
don't have
something,
a.
like,
I got Diet Coke. I don't got a beer.
hey, it's cool. Diet Coke works. Cheers me. Let's go. Cheers.
Sorry,
Look at that.
my
You got
real
the you
living.
got the twirly straw too, don't you? What do you got on your straw?
I have no idea. It's my kid's straw that I had to steal. You can't see it because my very real living room is
Yeah,
taken.
yeah. You're fading into your very real living room over there.
Yeah, my
that's
couch looks
that's
really I sleep on that couch back there quite a bit. Whatever way.
Which one? Which one? The one to the right or one to the left? They
There we
both look
go.
very
This
nice.
one. This one.
It's really a pull out sofa mattress, or is
Yeah.
it too comfy that you don't have to pull it out?
No, it's both. I anger my wife so much that I actually go to either one.
With some of the takes that you bring on here, I'm not surprised at all.
But not everyone can can take it.
Not everyone could spit fire on week one,
No.
but that's why we're here. That's why we love doing this, because we both love the spit fire takes that nobody else can seem to handle. So, but once again, it's another great episode we're going to go to. And we're going to be talking a lot today about, obviously, week 2 games. We're going to get into some dynasty news, some dynasty trades that we would make. And then, of course, we're going to talk about some news. But Justin, tell me how you're doing overall, other than living the good life over there. How's your day going today, man?
Yeah, I moved into this new house. It's really nice. But other than that, just
I really love the stone around the chimney over there. You really have some good taste. Is that you or is that your wife?
it's my wife, but I put it together myself.
Yeah, I kind of figured you for a mason.
And if you're gonna call me and ask for help, I'm booked for years, so it's not gonna happen.
He's too busy renovating his house to his wife's style because it's always changing, right?
So many masonry projects for me to do around here. So
Well, mason, carpenter, you're everything, man.
I do
I'd
everything.
be surprised if you didn't make that piano yourself, string it up and everything.
No, I got a guy that does that.
Got to pay somebody, right? Got to
My
pay
friend,
somebody's
my
bills.
good friend Bob Sacamano, he helps me out quite a bit.
I don't know if that's an actual reference or anything. I didn't get
Seinfeld.
that one.
It's
Oh,
a
okay,
Seinfeld
gotcha.
reference. Kramer's friend
Gotcha.
is always Bob Sacamano.
Bob Sacamano. No, I haven't watched Seinfeld in so long, but
Oh, it's on Netflix, and it is a great background noise while you work. In this
you know what? You know
wonderful
what?
area.
Speaking of Seinfeld, did you ever get in the Curb?
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Big Curb fan. The best
Oh,
one is when he gets the Trump hat just so he doesn't have to go to lunch with his friends. He puts his little Trump hat on so that his friends leave lunch because he doesn't want to go get lunch with them. He uses it to get out of every social situation he doesn't want to do.
I'm a huge fan of when he buys the Spite coffee shop.
Yes.
And then it just turns into like a whole spite fest. Like everybody's doing spiteful things to just fuck with everybody. And then the guy buys his home out of spite, or buys
Yeah.
a home right next to him out of spite.
It's literally the best show. I will say my friends do call me Larry David because that's the type of person I am.
Well, they really should call you George Costanza.
That's actually what they call me. But I say Larry David because it doesn't seem as bad.
Favorite line ever. Serenity now.
Serenity now is definitely up there, but the best one is it's not a lie if you believe it.
Oh, there you go. Well, you know what? Some people would think that the NFL is actually Festivus for the rest of us, but I'm personally a fan of Festivus too, because Festivus is not over until you fight your old man. Justin's gone. But anyways, guys, while Justin gets back on here, we're going to run through some injuries. That's right. So Alvin Kamara right now is looking like he will not be going. And then we also have, hold on, let me see. Then we also have, as of right now, Chris Godwin is not going to be going. So that kind of opens up the door for Julio Jones, for Russell Gage to maybe come through, Mike Evans. All those guys are kind of on the questionable end right now. So if I'm looking at getting one of these guys and putting them in, I'm really looking towards Julio. Julio looked explosive for what it's worth. He looked pretty good. Playing on Sunday. So I would probably go with Julio. Russell Gage is definitely an option, but overall, the Saints defense has handled the Buccaneers pretty damn well. Oh, there he is.
Goddamn dog.
Hey, look who's back.
Stupid dog unplugged my monitor. Which then
she was trying to tell you to go to bed.
No, it's only 9:50 over here. She's just annoying. I'm planting new grass, and so she's going insane because she only gets one walk a day. And she's a big ass dog who needs like probably 7 walks, but I only do what I can do.
Well, just get a big fence and leave her outside and let her just kind of explore the world on her own.
Oh, she will once my grass grows that she destroyed the first time.
Did you get yourself some nice Kentucky bluegrass?
The bluegrass actually dies in the heat over here in Kansas, so it's all fescue over here.
Oh, okay. Little did I know. That's so dry over there. The bluegrass gets.
Well, it's just like it's gonna be like 96 here next week. So, I mean, zoysia's the best. It's just it tends to. I've done too much reading about it. Zoysia's easy to plant. It just kind of invades other lawns and then it takes over their grass. So it's not particularly friendly.
Well,
kind of like my trade offers.
Boom. Actually, I liked your last trade offer. We tend to work out pretty decent trades. They usually benefit you in the short term, and I'll take the long term. Hopefully.
Well, I took the long term with Mr. Zach Wilson.
Yeah, well, Mr. Zach Wilson might be out of there in 1 year or so because the prospects are really not looking good for the Jets overall. But anyways, we're going to get into it. I was telling everybody about Kamara being pretty much, it looks like almost on the doubtful side at this point for not going. And then we've got, the carousel. We got Chris Godwin being ruled out. So I was telling everybody, go with Julio Jones if he plays. He obviously looked more explosive. Do you have anything to talk on that point? Like at this point, Ingram and Kamara. I'm sorry, Ingram and Kamara are actually kind of both nicked up. Latavius Murray was picked up earlier in the week. On both those topics, it's the same game. Do you have any interest in the backups for either of those teams?
I have a lot of interest in this game. People are going to avoid this game like the plague. I actually think that, 4 out of the last 6 times these teams have played, it's gone over 50 points. So I think you can start a lot of different players. I think Evans is going to ultimately play. Julio is a great pick, but if you want a dart throw or some guy that's not thought about, I think Jalen Darden's going to play. He already plays on special teams. There's injuries galore over there. I think Jalen Darden's a sneaky little play if you're doing like a DFS thing, but I think this game's going to do well. I think Brady's going to throw, and Lenny Fournette's obviously you're going to fire him up. I worry about Saints more so than I do Tampa, and that's because I hate Dennis Allen. So, I think they're going to be fine.
Another guy that showed up
Michael Thomas.
I was going to say another guy that showed up on the report is actually Jameis Winston too. Does that concern you with what you're going to be saying now with Michael Thomas?
It doesn't concern me. Jameis is gonna play. I just think that this game is going to be more high scoring than people think. I don't think that Tampa defense is elite. I think you could start any of these running backs. I think Lenny's the guy you want to play, but I also think that whoever starts I don't think that Tampa Bay front seven's as elite as it used to be. They got rid of Sue up front, and Sue is a freaking beast. Go Big Red.
Well, that's fair enough. That was probably the last good year that Nebraska's really had.
But anyways, have you watched any of the Scott Frost era? Every year is a good year.
Yeah. Every year's a good year until Scott Frost is gone. Then it's gonna go downhill, right?
They're gonna. I will say this: if you follow me, I actually think Nebraska's gonna pull this upset off tomorrow
Who they playing?
in Lincoln, Oklahoma. Huge rivalry game. Um, no one's giving them a chance. This is the game that this is a trap game for Oklahoma.
There you go. Take your betting odds. Justin says Nebraska's going to win. So if Nebraska ends up getting blown out, you come knocking on Justin's DMs and cuss him out.
I won't respond, but I'll see him.
The pain of Nebraska losing will be too much for Justin, anyways. Do you feel pain anymore when Nebraska loses, or do you just turn off the TV and go on with your day?
So, truth be told, I was out on Scott Frost like his second year. I'm pretty like if my friends will tell you this, I'm very picky when it comes to coaching, and like so much so that I really want Bill O'Brien to coach Nebraska, and people hate that hire, but it's actually a great hire for them. But I tend to have little patience for self-inflicted mistakes. That's like the first sign of terrible head coaching, in my opinion. So I actually stopped watching the Frost era about 2 years ago. And then I decided to watch this year because they brought in Mark Whipple, and I love my boy Kenny Pickett, so I thought that maybe the offense would get a little bit better. But I'll watch again now that Frost is gone. I am not a Scott Frost fan, and have not been for 3 years.
You could have fooled me. But anyways, we will move on. I want to talk about this real quick because we're a Dynasty show. So going off of last night's game, you saw last night's game between Kansas City and San Diego, or LA, I'm sorry. So are you worried, one, about this rib injury to Justin Herbert? Are you worried about not long-term repercussions, but based on the season, are you worried about maybe him missing like a week or two healing up because he supposedly has a fracture in his cartilage, his rib cage?
I'm not so worried about him. I mean, he'll play in like a couple of weeks. I'm worried about Mike Williams. I think Mike Williams needs Herbert to succeed. I'm kind of.
I think everybody kind of needs Herbert to succeed because when you look at Chase Daniel being your quarterback afterwards, I mean, come on.
I mean, the only thing that comes to mind when I see Chase Daniel's face is Sue sacking him. So, in the rain in Missouri, that's about all I can think of. So, yeah, I agree. They're not looking like they're going to be in a good place, and I feel like from here until week 10 or week 9, every time there's an injury, we're just concerned. Well, they should trade for Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yep.
But I don't think this rib injury is long term enough. But I will say that come season's end, this job is going to. Sean Payton will have an opportunity at this job if he wants it. Staley's way in over his head. He is not a good head coach. I was thinking that last year, but these first 2 weeks have all but confirmed that for me.
So you're not going to give him 3 years?
No.
Just kick him out after.
Pretty fickle. What, dude? I'm okay firing a coach after 1 year. You know, I was totally on board. There are definitely, dude. You can tell when there's poor head coaching. I don't care who you say. Like there are just times when, like okay, for example, Denver's coach, I am completely out on. I know it's 1 week. They lost strictly because of his terrible coaching. His poor decision making, wasn't getting play calls in time, way in over his head. They've had a whole offseason to put this stuff in. And then he blew the game. They paid their quarterback all this money. I could go on a rant here, and I
$275 million. Yep.
There are things you do as head coach that you just can't do, and that's what it is. He's going to go back, like no one's going to trust what he does next time that comes down crunch time. Like those players are not going to be like, he's going to make the best coach. He'll put us in, like every time he gives them direction, they're going to be like, look at this fucking guy. Yeah, the guy that kicked a 65-yard field goal is going to tell me how to do something. Give me a break.
Well, I mean, I'll agree with you. He did make a bonehead decision. I think it was kind of interesting that he did something very uncharacteristic of coaches and admitted, like literally right afterwards, that he was wrong.
Oh
Um,
no, if you watch the presser, he said, well, he made it sound like hindsight's 2020. Like, yeah, obviously now it's the wrong decision, but like,
All right, we'll give him the full season on this one. So I'm not saying that you're wrong in saying that some coaches deserve to be fired, but when your coach takes you from, I believe it was what 5, 6 wins to 9 wins, there's an improvement over 1 year. I agree with you. Staley may not be the greatest head coach, but unless he absolutely tanks this year with what he's got, I think that he's going to get a third year.
this is only his
He would
first year.
he would have to absolutely revert back to pre-Staley Anthony Lynn years for him to get kicked
You're
out of
talking
that
about
job.
State. You're talking about Staley. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm out on him too, dude. There's no way. Like look at Mike McCarthy. Like all you're doing is burning these quarterbacks' years. Like if you had fired McCarthy earlier, Rodgers probably would have had more than the one Super Bowl he has to his name.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. There's also something to be said about quarterbacks that are natural born winners. Rodgers, to me, I don't know. I mean, he seems to crumble under playoff pressure. He's never. I mean, I've seen him way too many times sulk his head. And
Oh,
listen,
I
I'm not
agree.
the biggest.
I agree
I'm
with
not
you
the
on that point.
biggest. I'll give Rodgers his due, but at the end of the day, like he's one of those guys that he can't have a presence that's bigger than him as a coach. Like Matt LaFleur, let's face it, Matt LaFleur, he's a good head coach, but he's not going
I
to be
don't.
one guy to tell Aaron Rodgers how to do his job. And I
I
think
don't
Aaron
know.
Rodgers needs somebody like a Sean Payton
I think he's
who will make him
exactly. I
better.
think if Sean Payton was there, he'd have multiple Super Bowl rings. So
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like there are some people that just don't want that personality there. And Mike McCarthy, like you're saying, Mike McCarthy is the definition of a wet blanket. Like this dude is just like
he's
nobody wants
already
him.
he's already throwing Kellen Moore under the bus.
Yeah. I mean, Kellen Moore, like 2 years ago, it was like the hot commodity. Everybody wanted him like Eric Bieniemy. And now he's, like you said, he's getting thrown under the bus. It's like, dude, why don't you take some accountability? Like, you're a terrible head coach.
Yeah. Well, thankfully he took those 2 years off and watched all the film and studied the analytics.
Really
So
became an analytics guru. Yeah, that was big.
big, paid dividends too.
Yeah. So all you have to do to go into a interview with Jerry Jones is say, I'm in on the analytics. I'm hip, man. I know what I'm talking about.
I
Jerry's like,
always
oh,
think of I always think of like Creed from The Office, where he like dyes his hair blonde to look younger to make sure he
no, he
doesn't
died
get
in
laid.
black. Yeah, he died in black.
What's up? What's up, dudes?
Yeah. So Justin, I want to ask you a couple questions about this game. How are you feeling about the dynasty status of Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Is he somebody you're trading for or you're trading away?
So I actually got a question about this in my inbox yesterday. Asking, he said he had an offer of. Let's see what he said. He said he had an offer of. Okay, so he has an offer of a second and a third for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And my advice before the game last night was to hold on to Clyde. He says he's a rebuilding team, so my advice was to hold on to that. I think he's going to appreciate into a 2023 first round pick, and then you trade him for that to reset the clock as you look to rebuild your team. Clyde's entering year 3. He is definitely valuable to a team that's looking to contend this year. I don't think in the next 2 to 3 years he's going to be a big dynasty asset, but I think you reset the clock with your pick and get a 2023 first with this running back class. And I think both sides win the trade. If you're looking to win the league and you give up a 23 first, I think Clyde helps you do that this season. And if you're rebuilding, I think you get to reset the clock at their position with this draft, and it's a win-win for both sides.
I like that analysis because that's kind of where I was going to. I think you gotta at least try and get a one out of this, because at
Yep.
this point he's earning it. You know what I mean? Like you can't just take a second and a third for him anymore, because now he's really involved in the offense on both the passing and the receiving end. At this you gotta at least probe the question. You got to throw it out there. Hey, what are you willing to give up? And for like you said, a win now team, go out and get him. See if you can snag him for a first round pick. And on both sides, it's a win-win. Like you said, you get a rebounding team getting a first round pick. You get a winning team getting a Clyde Edwards-Helaire stock that looks like it's going to be very good this year. How about Austin Eckler? Had 2 bad games. How are you feeling about it? I
I mean,
kind of felt like I saw this coming. I didn't see it to this extent, but I saw a regression for
I
sure.
did not see this coming. We were talking to Tim Lazenby,
Yep.
and I was an Eckler fan. So I will say I think we're looking for a rebound over the next couple weeks with this Herbert injury. They're going to probably take the load off his shoulders, and that's when you look to make that move to get rid of him. When the garden starts looking like it's getting watered again with some Eckler touches, that's when you sell.
So hopefully rebound coming, right? You'd expect it. He's that talented of a guy. Do you go and do you try and get him off of somebody for a playoff push or a championship push and try and go cheap on it, because you can have, hey, look, he's got regressing numbers. They're not putting him in as much. They're not using him as much. The utilage has gone down. Do you go at somebody and say, hey, here's a 2023 first round pick, somebody who would have probably garnered at least 2 before the season? Do you go at them now with just like 1 and say, hey, he's a regressing talent, but I think that, he's still worth this, and try and get that off of somebody for a win now?
I,
And
I,
then if you're selling him, what are you trying to sell him at price wise?
I mean,
Are
in all honesty, you need a 1. I don't think you're going to get 2 ones for him. And if you're going to make the push for him, he can't be. You can't be relying on him as your RB1. He's going to have to be your RB2. And I would hope the rest of your roster is pretty well constructed. I wouldn't want to lean on him. I wouldn't mind giving him a first if he was kind of a, like a cherry on top to your roster, as we'll say.
So what you're saying is if he's an RB2 or a flex, you're
Yeah.
perfectly fine giving away a 1 for him. But if you have to rely on him as your RB1,
I don't think it's
maybe
reliable. I
not.
mean, you just can't do that. I mean, you have to be, unless you have like, Justin Jefferson and Cooper Cup. I just don't think you can afford to do that because the class is going to be loaded in 2023 and you need something that's going to put you over the top. And I just don't know if he's going to, giving up a 1 and with this class, I know that, everyone is losing their skis over this class. It's a great class. I just think that you cannot push your chips all in on this guy. There's so many other players you give up a 1 for. I would, at this point in time, and this is a hot take, I would rather have Clyde than Austin Eckler right now. I think that Clyde's problem's been his health the first couple of years. He's never going to be a breakaway runner, but he's getting the passing down work. And, he's splitting it with McKinnon. But, he had 100 yards last night. He had 2 touchdowns in the passing game before the blowout of Arizona. He's involved in this offense and a lot more involved than Eckler's been the first 2 weeks of the season.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I still think I would lean Eckler more than Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but I think you can get Clyde Edwards-Helaire much cheaper price right now. I think a lot of Austin Eckler managers still have the hype of last year, hoping that they're going to get at least a first and maybe like a second out of it.
What have you done for me lately, Austin Eckler?
100%. 100%. But let's move on to I want you to come up with a couple guys that you would be trading for right now. Do you
Trading
have a couple
for?
off the top of your head?
Trading for. Um,
Trading for or trading away? I'll leave it at that. 1 or 2 guys.
well, I'll be perfectly honest with you. One guy I'm looking. It's one game. Okay, I'm a little worried about Kyle Pitts. And on the other hand, I'm pretty impressed with Drake London. So Pitts wasn't that impressive last week. I want to say Ertz, who had a terrible game, scored more points than him. And
He got
Drake
a
London,
touchdown. That's why.
yeah, and Drake London just looks like he's going to be the guy in this offense. Drake London looks like he's the real deal. That's why he went as high as it is. He's just got to stay healthy. So, 2 players, same team, different directions for me. What do you feel about that?
See, I feel like Kyle
It's one
Pitts has
week.
got too much
It's 1 week. I get it.
too much talent to fail. And I don't like Drake London this week. I think that he's got a bad matchup going against Jalen Ramsey.
That dude's trash now. That dude's overrated.
Yeah,
I will say everyone's writing off Matt Stafford, and I think Matt Stafford's going to just have a field day this week.
I don't think. See, I don't get the vibe that people are writing off Matt Stafford. I get the vibe that everybody's thinking this is like kind of like the redemption week for a lot of players, and Matt Stafford's one of them. Because I just wrote up something about Matt Stafford being like an incredible like buy at DFS right now because I think he's just going to go ape shit.
That's
On
hilarious.
the
All I've
Falcons.
heard this week is Darrell Henderson.
So have you just been like talking in the mirror or talking to like Steve or
No, if you listen to the footballers DFS, and if you listen to like ESPN, no one talks about Stafford in those things.
Well, maybe it's because it's just intuitive. I mean, is anybody really downplaying Stafford right now?
I think people are really worried about his arm.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like he may be developing some sort of arthritis in that arm. I mean, they were saying that
the Rams and arthritis, man.
Yeah, seriously, it ruins the best of them. Could you imagine if we had Todd Gurley for the amount of time we had Derrick Henry? Oh my god. Oh my god. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that Stafford is going to be I don't think he's going to be bad this week. I think that Stafford's
I'm
going to.
not saying he's going to be bad. I'm saying I just haven't heard the hype, and I think that he's actually an incredible bargain based on. I think he's pissed, and I think he's going to try and. I think Allen Robinson's probably going to. People are glued in on
Well,
Cooper
that's
Kupp.
the thing, right? McVay was talking about Robinson this week a lot, saying that we got to get him involved in the offense, and
This seems like a Robert Woods type of force the ball to Robert Woods type of week.
Yeah, 100%.
With my
on the flip
Bistro.
side, your original comment was about Kyle Pitts, and your original question was Kyle Pitts. I don't think Kyle Pitts has anything to worry about. I think that at this point, it's really going to be, a matchup game. And I think that, Kyle Pitts has got a good matchup against the linebackers and the safeties for the Rams. He plays like a wide receiver. I said, I think London has got Ramsey. Ramsey might be not as great as he was before, but I don't think he's going to let a rookie burn him.
We'll see.
Maybe, but I'm gonna put my money on Pitts having a good week and London having more of the pedestrian week this week.
All right, we'll see.
Are you trying to trade away Pitts because of one game?
It's really just like, me. I mean, it's not so much like one game. It's more so like the value of him compared to what I've gotten so far. Like, I know he's a tight end. He had 1,000 yards last year, but there's no touchdowns. They bring in London. He's got Mariota as his quarterback. It's kind of just like, if I'm getting Travis Kelce prices without Travis Kelce production, probably need to make a trade.
Who are you getting right now? Like, what are you getting from? Are you getting any offers for him? Like serious offers where you're like,
no. I mean, I know I only got him because like I traded away Najee Harris for him this offseason, which seems like probably a good trade.
Yeah, I was gonna say, looking like a pretty solid one.
So I mean, like I will trade him. It's just got to be the right price. Things I listen to make it seem like his price is pretty high, so that's why he's kind of a candidate to sell for me.
All right. So one guy for me that's kind of a sell guy is I want to sell right now DeAndre Swift because he is this amazing player when he's on the field and he shows it, but he's got this problem that he just cannot stay on the field. And injury problems seem to be flaring up again as they usually do with him. So I'm looking to bank off of a great week and try and flip this guy to get some value.
What are you
I
looking
got
for?
an offer for Josh Allen and Tony Pollard. And I wasn't going to take it because I kind of think I need a better running back in that deal for a single QB league. But it's
Do I
one of those
know
things where I'm entertaining those types of talks because
your boy
I don't
sold him
know.
this? I did sell him in July. What do you want to ask me what I got?
Of course. Justin, what did you get for selling DeAndre Swift?
What do you think is a fair price for DeAndre Swift?
Are we talking about picks or players?
Picks.
Picks. A fair price for DeAndre Swift, a third-year running back who's very talented. I'd say probably about 2 firsts.
I got 2 1s and 2 2s.
2 1s and 2 2s.
I had the same concerns as you, actually. Detroit Lions running back, not exactly super talented, overworked. Felt like a good trade for me.
Yeah.
Especially in the 20. I mean, there were 2023 picks too. So.
I mean, I drafted him a lot last year. I stayed away from drafting him this year. And one of my problems is that, like you said, he's overworked. I thought maybe because I only had like 2 shares of him this year.
Mm-hmm.
It was all redraft. And I was thinking to myself, yeah, he added a little bit of weight. Maybe he's going to, be able to take more punishment, be able to get up, walk away from more hits, play more games. It doesn't seem like it. It seems like he's still going to be bit by that injury bug.
So what I would encourage you, here's the trade I would actually encourage you to go try and make. I know we talk a lot of times after the show. A guy I'm going to try and buy. I would offer DeAndre Swift for Aaron Jones in a 2023 first.
Oh, I like that.
That's the trade I would pursue. I think Aaron Jones had a rough week. Same thing happened last year. I don't know what's going on. Week 1 seems to be a problem for LaFleur. And I think he's going to be more involved. I don't think that the expectation is for AJ Dillon to be the pass catcher. So I think you solve your running back now, and then you get a 2023 pick, which you can actually cash in and get an even better player next year.
No, actually, I really like that. That's a pretty smart move. If it was a Dynasty, I would do it, but since it's a redraft league, I probably will not because there's no first-round picks involved. But definitely going to be looking at his roster and trying to find the best running back I can to get with that Josh Allen deal because I could use a quarterback as well. But on to another guy I want to talk about. I actually don't mind the idea of going out and grabbing Deebo Samuel right now. Deebo is.
You're just.
I mean, So here's my hear me out. You go out and you grab him, and then you trade him again. So he's going to be having some really good weeks these upcoming weeks. Whenever Elijah Mitchell went out, they always seem to elevate Deebo to being like that 1A with
9
Jeff
carries.
Wilson.
But do you remember, I don't know, all off season, didn't want to carry the football, and someone kept saying like, hey, he got paid, he wants to win football games, he's probably going to keep running the football. I don't like to gloat, but you've put me on like you keep mentioning good players that I have plenty of misses, Tyler Beatty, plenty of others, but
Snoop Connor.
Yeah. I mean, you can name the misses too.
Listen. I'll tell you this. I was out on Deebo because of his attitude. I completely agree with you. And the 49ers completely agree with you because they incentivized running the ball for him.
Yeah.
He gets $600,000 for 300 yards and $600,000 for 5 touchdowns as a rusher. So they know what this is. There
Yeah.
was no doubt about this. They know what's going on here.
Yeah.
Um,
I actually got him where I could. I was a big fan. And listen, you've been on Ayuk. I think Ayuk's going to be good. I think
yeah,
people, we can get into this now. I don't even know if it's on the agenda, but you were taking a lot of flack because you made the very real point that it's 1 week of games and people are ready to write off Trey Lance. And then they also conversely are going to anoint Justin Fields as the best quarterback of the class somehow. Playing in a monsoon and winning a monsoon game doesn't make you a better quarterback.
yeah.
So,
I'm glad that somebody was on my side of that one because I did take quite a bit of flack for that.
yeah,
I was very
it's 1 week. People, it is insane how many people want to take one piece of data and just be like, well, season's over. This player sucks. I mean, even like Eckler. Like I wrote in my article, which will drop on Sunday morning for Prediction Strike. It's like, come Monday night, 10% of the season will have been played. 2 games. About 11.8% of the season will have been played. And we're going to take those 2 games come Tuesday morning, and we're going to write off a bunch of players that, think back a year ago, the leading rusher in the league. Think back to how he did his first couple games. It wasn't very good.
yeah.
So, and also James Conner was dog crap. He had like 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, he didn't really get started until Chase Edmonds went down.
So it's funny because it doesn't sound good as a human to say it, but exploit people that tend to worry about this. Like, go after those owners who tend to overreact to week 1, and make your team better.
And that's the game.
Yeah.
That's the game. I mean, we're in it for the fun of it, we're in it for the strategy of it. And that's just the kind of stuff that, having us here, for whoever wants to watch us, whoever wants to listen to us, like we give you good strategy points.
Yeah.
Like we give you good talking points, good engaging points for starting a conversation about going and trading for Austin Eckler or trading away DeAndre Swift. That's,
and they're not always going to be. They're not always going to be right, but we try and give you the best advice as we see it. So,
yeah, no, 100%. And so I think this is a perfect transition point to our NFL games because we've been talking NFL already. So let's go over some of the games we haven't already. I want to talk about the Dolphins Ravens. How are you on Rashad Bateman this year or this week?
I don't know. Mark Andrews, yes. I was looking at it. I don't. There's the rumors that Lamar might go to Miami next year, which.
Oh, I know. I saw that. That's phenomenal.
So is he auditioning for his job in Miami? I don't know, but you look at the data and it's just like Lamar has the ceiling this week of all the top quarterbacks in the main slate of games. The noon to 6 games in terms of fantasy, but I don't really love his pass catchers. This game has the feel of a shootout, but I just don't know who you would even start with Lamar to even feel, to get those points. I don't love Bateman. I feel like Andrews is a solid play, but part of me just feels I just have this feeling it's going to be a running back that's going to get a lot of check down passes this week.
Okay, so you care to elaborate on who you think's going to be the guy? Supposedly, Dobbins has practiced in full. So supposedly you would think if you're practicing in full, you would think he would be on the field. Yeah, he'll probably be limited 100%. But do you think with those limited touches he can get something done, or do you think it's going to be more of a Kenyon Drake? I don't think we can count on Mike Davis.
Maybe Kenyon Drake. I don't know. I mean, again, this is such a long shot. I just don't love the options like right now, and that's probably like between you and me. That's probably why he doesn't want to stay in Baltimore. Like
Yeah.
Rashad Bateman's the only guy that's there, but it's also self-inflicted because the dude just isn't he's not the greatest passer.
I mean, I see, and here's the thing: I don't think he's a bad passer, but Baltimore has always been that way. Baltimore would rather double down on getting linemen and defense in the draft than they would ever think about really putting in a lot of investment into getting receiving talent. Like,
I
he
know
had
they
2
tried
first
getting
round picks.
I know they tried getting Juju last year though.
Yeah, I mean that would. But, at the end of the day, why not try and go shoot for like a Christian Kirk or something like that? I mean, now you're stuck with Devin Duvernay, who he looked good for one game, but I can point to another game last year where he probably looked good too. It doesn't
Yeah,
mean that he's long
and
term.
Antonio Brown wanted to play there.
I mean, Marquise Brown probably still wanted to play there until they
No,
traded him away.
he did not. He did not want to. He wanted to be traded. He
Okay.
requested to be traded. But I actually wonder if Odell Beckham becomes an option. I think Odell's probably destined for the Bills.
Yeah, he's probably definitely destined for a team that's going to be playoff bound. I don't know if the Ravens are playoff bound right now. It's a shaky, especially with the AFC North looking really good. With the other two teams that are right now, the other two teams, I mean, the Steelers picking up a dub over the Bengals, the Browns
So
looks
that's the
very
thing.
brownish.
I'm telling you right now, if the Browns can sneak in at if they can be 5-6, 6-5, even 4-7, they could sneak in with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
If he comes back and is committed to football and not extracurricular activities.
He's allowed to practice 2 weeks before his suspension's up, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think that he's allowed to have any personal massages either, so that's a benefit.
Yeah.
He needs to focus on football and never go to a massage parlor again.
Yeah. Stay in the weight room and let the massages be done by staff
Team
professionals.
officials.
Yep.
Like George Costanza, get a male masseuse.
There you go. Seinfeld references getting pulled out of everywhere. Seinfeld is so reputable to the real world right now. So let's go with Commanders Lions right now. This is an interesting game. We were talking about the aforementioned DeAndre Swift. He might not play right now. Are you okay with Jamal Williams?
Yeah, I'm fine with Jamal Williams. I think this is going to be a low scoring game though. I don't think it's going to be.
So what about your boy Wentz? Do you think he's gonna play put up some big points?
Probably like $190, 2 touchdowns. Not a huge
How many
game.
interceptions for?
One. Probably 1 pick. Really he does like 3-1, so maybe he'll get 3 touchdowns. It's in Detroit. I think Detroit might steal this one.
Yeah, you know what? I had Detroit beating the Eagles last week, and it didn't come to fruition, but it was close. It really was close, and it was, the score was close, and I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of people were like, the game wasn't really that close, but it was.
Yeah.
What can you say about it? The Lions come to play on offense.
Just wait till they get their first round pick back.
A lot of work. So for this game, do you care about any of the receivers on the Lions?
I think Mon-Ra's fine. I like Hawk quite a bit. I think Hawk's going to be the difference maker in this game.
Puke.
You're not going to play the boo sound? You're not going to boo Ornsby?
No. I'm not going to boo you on that one. If I had a puking sound, I would play that one. Okay. You gotta give a really bad take on Hawk for you to get the boo one.
He could finish as tight end 1 this week.
Wow, you're just really pushing that on. I'm gonna give you this one.
The truth. You can't handle the truth.
Oh, I just made that up. I don't actually believe that.
All right, for admitting that, you get.
Yeah, it's not the first
time. Back it up.
It's not the first time I've been booed in my life. Won't be the last.
Might be a weekly occasion at this point.
Watch, he'll finish his tight end.
um,
Watch, he'll actually finish his tight end one this week.
oh, that would just absolutely break my heart at this point. I've been so off of that guy for 2 years now. So for the Commanders, how'd you like Jahan Dotson? Do you think he's got a serious role going forward? I
I'm
mean,
I'm a big fan of Dotson, but I don't think he's going to score 2 touchdowns very often.
well, yeah. I mean, we can't really expect him to score 2 touchdowns
I feel like it was like a
every other
Gabe.
game or every 2 games.
If that was in the playoffs, then he'd be like Gabe Davis. He'd be going like in the 4th round of drafts next year in startups.
Jesus.
So I mean, I think he's good.
Somehow
I mean,
I trust him more.
you trust who more?
Somehow I trust him more.
No.
I'm still I like Gabe Davis a little bit more, but somehow I still don't trust him. I don't know.
No, I'm with you. I like Gabe Davis. I kept him in my auction league for like $5. I mean, that's nothing. But I like Dotson. I still think it's Terry McLaurin's offense. And then
Fair
Antonio
enough.
Gibson's for like the next couple weeks.
Antonio Gipp season until it's week 6 and Brian
I just think we need to,
Robinson.
I think Gibson has upside over the next couple weeks until Robinson comes back. Exactly.
I mean, I think that Gibson could hold on to it for a long period of time. You just got to keep those fumbles under control. If he doesn't fumble, if he can make it to week 6 or whenever Brian Robinson comes back and have a commanding share of this offense over J.D. McKissick, I think that they'll ride it out with Brian or with Antonio Gibson.
You do. I mean, I hope so.
For my fantasy team, I hope so as well. So Colts Jaguars, Michael Pittman has not practiced with a quadricep injury. Are you worried about the Colts losing this game if Michael Pittman doesn't play?
Well, I think the Colts are going to lose even if Michael Pittman plays.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Jacksonville has completely dominated this series at home. Home dogs tend to do a lot better. And let's just look at 2021. They knocked the Colts out of the playoffs.
I actually just found out that Frank Reich is 0-2 against them at home.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right there.
So I just and here's the hot take. Actually, if you want to boo me, then boo me on this. Reich personally vouched for Wentz, kicked Wentz out the door, brings in Matt Ryan, tells Irsay that things are going to be better with Matt Ryan. Mike Florio, this credits Pro Football Talk, but I'm 100% with them. If he loses to Jacksonville this week, I think that he gets fired. I think he'll be the first coach fired this season. Unacceptable. Cannot be 0-3 to the Jaguars. Can't vouch for 2 quarterbacks. Say things are going to get better and lose to the same team 3 times. Unacceptable.
That's funny. I like that. I like that a lot. I mean, you're absolutely right. There's nothing wrong about that statement. I mean, he can't lose to the Jaguars after getting rid of what he called the problem and bringing in his, another guy. And now it's firmly in Frank Reich. He's controlling his own destiny at this point. Plus, I love the idea of student facing the master and Frank Reich playing Frank Reich's team playing Doug Peterson's team. It's going to be an interesting matchup. I like Christian Kirk in this one. I think he's gonna murder it against Kenny Moore. Then you got James Robinson probably handling a lot of the duties, the main rushing duties, and then
it's an even split though. I don't know. It was 51-49 last week.
Oh. It seemed a lot more like Robinson.
It did, but then you dug into the stats, and it was a pretty even snap count. And I think ETN is I'll tell you this: if I had Robinson, I'd probably be selling him. I think we talked about this a little bit, didn't we? Or was that maybe that was Bubblehead? I was on the Bubblehead podcast the other day. Yeah, I think we
Go
all
check out
agreed
our
on
friends at Bubblehead.
Bubblehead. Yeah, we had talked. We'd all agreed that we think if we had James Robinson, we'd be selling James Robinson right now.
Nice. I actually like that take because, who knows? And with this Jaguars team anyways, there's still a good chance that he doesn't really have that great of a season, especially with like if you said like ETN or James Robinson long term, are you going with ETN?
Yeah, I think you have to at this point. Doesn't have the Achilles injury, and look, he looked fine last week. Robinson did, but doesn't have the injury. You got the first round draft capital on ETN, and ETN looked like he had more juice. Just looked like some things didn't go his way. He was on the sidelines. The ball was overthrown. He probably could have scored on it if the ball was placed. Um, and I think
That's
he's a
the
good
other
runner.
thing. Trevor Lawrence was missing all day long.
Yeah,
He
Trevor
missed quite a
Lawrence.
few people.
I don't know. I mean, he was supposed to be the best one. I mean, at this point, I know we're kind of getting off topic here a little bit as we go through the games, but is there a consensus number one quarterback? Did I give you the number one quarterback in Davis Mills?
I mean, honestly, not even lying. I think Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson probably back of the pack right now. Obviously, we haven't seen much from Trey Lance and Justin Fields either. Like you said, Davis Mills,
Or
he's the
Mac
one that looks
Jones?
the most confident out there.
Davis Mills and Mac
Him,
Jones.
him and Mac Jones, yeah. They look the most. And Mac Jones, I don't think he feels confident in his system right now
That's because
because
the
it's so
coach. Yeah.
trash.
Yeah. Yeah. Mac Jones is going
But
to be good. Mac Jones will be fine. I mean, he's not going to be like, I don't see the ceiling for these guys, but in terms of NFL quarterback, I think they're the best of the bunch.
yeah, I mean, the more and more I think about it, I'm like, if Mac Jones was in San Francisco would probably be a Super Bowl favorite right now because you'd have a competent quarterback back there
Yeah, for sure.
throwing darts. But we'll live with what we got. Speaking of that San Francisco game, San Francisco, Seattle, do you see anybody on the Seattle game as startable? And as a little note, Kenneth Walker has started practicing again off of his hernia, not sports hernia, just a regular hernia.
So I know that Pete Carroll has owned them in San Francisco. That's been
Yeah,
the talk. That's the talk I've
Russell
heard.
Wilson's more or less owned them.
Yeah, see, that's the thing is I wouldn't start any of these guys in DFS. I'm gonna actually load up on San Francisco 49ers if I had to guess. I'd go Ayuk and Lance, though you might just go naked with Lance if you had to do something like that. If you're doing like if you were picking your guys. So I I just don't know if you would. Who are you gonna start in Seattle? I mean, Geno Smith, man, like I know they won, but like if you look at the throws, he wasn't asked to do a whole lot, which is kind of the story of the offense.
Right.
But like, I'm happy for the guy, but I just don't. That's not sustainable. That was like their Super Bowl.
Yeah. And, everybody was glamoring about Geno Smith. That was a very Geno Smith day. I mean, did he break 200 yards?
I think he did. I mean, maybe. I don't know. I mean, the Broncos are the reason they lost that game. I mean, they won that game. The Broncos gave the game up, which is back to original point why I want him fired.
Yeah,
to quote
195
Seinfeld,
yards.
195 yards. To quote
Yeah.
George Costanza in the dealership episode, all I want is my time back and for him to be fired. That's what I would say as a Broncos fan.
Sean Payton is going to be auditioning for so many jobs next year.
I mean, that job is the best.
I wouldn't even say auditioning. It's going to be a bidding war for him. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be a bidding war.
It's just, why did they hire Nathaniel Hackett? There was
because it's just like why they hired Frank Reich, because they thought that he came from this amazing system with great results, and they thought they were going to bring it to them. Right?
I don't know, man. There are so many better coaches than Nathaniel Hackett. Like, I'm a big believer that Leslie Frazier should have been a head coach, but that's just me. Leslie Frazier took the Vikings to the playoffs with Adrian Peterson and Adrian Peterson.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, there's a lot of
Joe,
guys that haven't gotten a head coaching job.
Joe freaking Webb was his starting quarterback.
Speaking of a guy who got a head coaching job from a good team, how are you feeling about Dable's team, the New York Jets? I was about to say New York Jets.
I mean,
New York Giants.
Football Giants. Yeah, I mean, listen, we talked. We knew, I had kind of planted my flag early on Barkley because of the coaching, and barring health, I think Barkley's going to be a top 5 running back. These guys stay healthy, and unfortunately, like, you still need passing work, you need the passing volume, and you still need production. I mean, great he played the Titans, but I don't know if you saw my tweet. The way Ryan Tannehill's lost the last couple games, I'm not so sure if the Giants are going to be continuing this or if Ryan Tannehill's going down a path of like a midlife crisis, because by midway, 12 games in, we might see some Malik Willis, because the way he's lost these last 2 games, he already went through therapy for the way he lost the last game. I don't know how much longer that leash is going to be if things keep going downhill. As much as he hates Malik Willis, it seems like, Vrabel, there's a power struggle there. You can tell there is between the coach and the GM.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think Tannehill will probably last it out. He still had a good game. Did they lose that game? Maybe because he couldn't finish it. Yeah, but what's Malik Willis going to do at this point for a team that's supposed to go to the playoffs?
I'm saying if they start out like 2-8, you're going to probably see Malik Willis, because they know they're going to have a high draft pick and a quarterback with Bryce Young, with a bunch of other good quarterbacks.
Try and figure out if they have what
do they have in Malik Willis before they go forward with this. Yeah. So if the problem is all the numbskulls that drafted Malik Willis in the first round. Like, you have to hope that if he gets his time, that he starts winning fucking games. Because I'm telling you, I've looked at the schedule, and if you want to pull it up, you can, but it does not look pretty for the Tennessee Titans. It's a very rough schedule, and things can go south fast. And so you're hoping that Malik Willis gets the shot if that's the case, because otherwise you're not going to see him, and they're probably going to take like a Bryce Young top of the draft or a CJ
So I think
Stroud.
one of the biggest surprises was that defense kind of just completely fell off the map when it came to last week. I thought Barkley was going to have a rough outing with that rush defense. He absolutely ate their cookies. He stole cookies like he was Santa Claus on Christmas. He was that damn good. And I will probably be donating to I'm sorry, I forgot the alliance.
The TSC Alliance. Yep.
TSC Alliance. I will probably be donating to the TSC Alliance in the name of Saquon Barkley. But, I will say it was just one game. I want to see what the full sample size is.
He needs to stay healthy.
He has to stay healthy. I mean, he had one game last year. And I'll be the guy that said it. I called him out last year. In that one game, he actually broke out, and then he did absolutely nothing the rest of the year.
But even that breakout game, though, I watched that game, and I was like, it was like the worst performance that was a breakout that I think I've ever seen. I mean, it wasn't like it was like dominant. It was like 150. It was like a 50-yard run.
Oof. Yeah, he did actually pull off, because I remember I was recapping that game. He did pull off a long run for a touchdown in that game. But regardless, it seems like for right now he's back.
Yeah.
And he was
Here's the thing. I was Saquon or Jonathan Taylor? Would you trade them straight up, or who do you even want today? Because I'll go Saquon. I think Jonathan Taylor. I think Saquon's a stud.
See, I think with the Saquon Jonathan Taylor talk, you got to at least get like another pick to go with it, because you put so much into Jonathan Taylor. I mean, you can go straight up, but that's probably the greedy person in me saying, I wasted 101 for this guy. You wasted a 3rd round pick for him.
You're in way too many one quarterback leagues.
I'm in way too many charity leagues. I'm just giving away my money. They're all one quarterback.
It's for a good cause.
Yeah, it is. But sometimes I wish that I would win my league so that the cause would be for me, for my vacations. But anyways, let's get back on track with these NFL games. Let's try and pick another one since we're running out of time. Oh, here's a good one. How about Cardinals Raiders? What do you think about that game? Do you think that obviously for me, every Raider is a go. What do you think about the Cardinals and the Raiders? Like, do you think that you can play everybody on offense and just say sayonara to the defense?
So I did write about it again. This is the other highlight of the week. I write 3 games over at the prediction strike. I broke this game down. I think that Arizona is going to get swept again. I think they're going to get dominated. Don't think it's going to be particularly close. You have no healthy receivers. You got Marquise Brown. You need James Conner to step up, or Zach Ertz not to look like he's 50. I don't think it's going to be a Adams week, though. I think it's going to be a Renfrow week, actually. Adams dominated the target share last week. I think they're going to try and key in on that in Arizona. And then one of the worst contracts of all time, Cliff Kingsbury's agent. I want Cliff Kingsbury's agent to negotiate all my contracts.
You definitely don't want Kyler Murray's agent because there will be way too many stupid stipulations in there.
There would be, and then I'd have to delete my Instagram photos, and I have to go do all that.
You'd have to give up video games and study for 3 hours a night.
Only for 2 weeks until the public outcry makes them renegotiate the contract.
Yeah, until you look like an idiot in front of everybody. You tell this man to go do homework.
Someone did say he's like 0-58 on Call of Duty double points weekends.
That's funny. All right, so let's finish it up. I think this will be a really good game. Eagles Vikings. What are your predictions for this game?
You think it's gonna be a good game? You do? I'm curious.
Wrap it up. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a great game.
That's all. I think it's gonna be a Vikings blowout. I think Hurts is a mirage. We've talked about this. Just above 50% completions last week. I know they were trying to make it some noise up with the adjusted completions. He played the Lions. Not for me. I think it's Vikings by a mile.
So I do agree with you. He was very much hyped up for no apparent reason. The only person you can complete a pass to was A.J. Brown. And once A.J. Brown gets heavily blanketed, we're going to have to see him complete passes elsewhere. And that's just going to be a reboot of last year where he couldn't actually get to anybody. But that rushing upside is still a real thing. And, when you pair 94 yards with 250 yards and a touchdown, he has a good week. So, what I'm looking at with this team is I still think the Vikings on the rushing defense wise are still very vulnerable. And this is exactly what this is. Sorry about that. This is just contagious, man.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Sorry.
No, you're good. But yeah, I don't know. I think the Vikings defense has holes in it, and I think that he can exploit it enough to stay in this game. I agree with you. I think the Vikings are going to win, but I think it'll be closer than a blowout.
Yeah, I just think that we tend to, go back to what we said earlier, overreact 1 week. I think the Lions are still the Lions, and Hurts, people want to compare Hurts and Allen quite a bit. Even the most famous Godfather, Matthew Berry, does. But my problem is, as you yawn under your shirt, probably.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. I'm having like an allergy attack and like
me too. My eyes have been bothering me. I think that people try and compare Josh Allen to Jalen Hurts way too much, and Josh Allen did not have near as the experience that Hurts does. Once you've been a quarterback for long enough, there's not much more development you can do. And Josh Allen has progressed because he didn't play it for near as long as Hurts did. So I think we know what Jalen Hurts is as a passer and what his flaws are. And I just don't think that I'm not sold after one game that all of his passing woes have gotten better.
Yeah, and that's fair enough. I mean, like I said, he really only shined with A.J. Brown. Devonta Smith had 4 targets and 0 catches, and a lot of that's because he was overthrown or underthrown. It's not because Devonta Smith sucks, because he's a first round talent, and if he was anywhere else, he would probably be a top 24 talent. But since he's with the Eagles, he's kind of relegated to whatever he gets, he gets. But
If you want
anyways,
to, one last thing before we go is if you have Sky Moore, offer Sky Moore for Devontae Smith and see if that owner panic accepts.
I like that. I like that a lot. Offer Sky Moore for Devonta Smith. Wow. And then watches Sky Moore goes off and Devonta Smith does nothing. Well, anyways, this has been a great show, and we're both starting to get really tired. I can feel it.
Yeah.
I know you can feel it. So, guys, as usual, it's been a great show, but go check out SeatGeek right now. Go get your tickets for this Sunday. Save $20 off with us. All you have to do is type in the promo code Dynasty Brews and you get $20 off. That's a free beer for you. That's a hot dog or some nachos for your kids. Whatever it is, it's $20 back in your pocket when you make your first purchase with SeatGeek. Go do that today and use the promo code Dynasty Brews. Justin, thank you for bearing with me on this one. It's been a late night, and I know we're both ready to go to bed or whatever we're going to do. But as usual, appreciate the whole entire Brew Crew, and stay frosty, guys.